July 13th, 2020. We'll follow our standard approach of going through the milestone 11 issue to see what we've tagged for discussion. Before we get started, does anybody have any announcements they'd like to share? If not, let's go over to the issues. I will share it here, share screen, and that should be this one, share. Okay, so the top of the list is transfer the NAPI tutorials to the OpenJS Foundation. So I know, Jim, you're working on that.
Yes, so I have a PR on the examples repo. It's the files necessary for Gatsby to generate the site, and then also the content of the site. Michael, you had a question last week about the licensing.
Right.
So that's the list. That's the licensing tree for the Gatsby for this PR.
Okay, because like GPL2 is kind of an issue.
Okay, I can look at that one.
So these are like, this is all stuff that needs to be checked in?
Yeah, so Gatsby itself has dependencies.
Right.
So this is not what is being checked in. It is what Gatsby loads when you do the npm install. This is what comes in.
Right. So that's okay. It's more the like, because we're taking some people's code and putting it into our repo, right?
Okay. No, we're not. Oh, okay. Right there. Okay. Yes, I did use a theme, and that theme is MIT licensed, so okay. I can bring that out specifically and put a note here.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, what it is using it may have dependencies. Would that be an issue, or is it just the licensing?
Well, it's the code that we're copying.
Copying.
Right, like it's when you do an npm install, that's not, I don't think that's an issue. That's saying, okay, when you're going to run this on the machine where we do the build, it'll install those extra things.
Okay.
But anything that we have to check in, you know, that's basically, there's a license that says, what do you have to do if you copy our code? And that's what we need to worry about. Like if somebody goes and says, well, I'm going to pull the code directly from the Node.js repo, what's the license of the stuff they're pulling?
Okay. So the licensing would apply specifically to the things that are in the PR.
Right, exactly, right. So if in your PR, it's basically like, which PR is it? Is it the tutorial website?
Yes, yeah.
Right, so you got like 96 files.
Okay.
And any of the ones that you've created yourself are fine, right? Because those are, you know,
right.
You're contributing them under the DCO, and they'll be licensed under MIT, where we should have a license at the top. Like almost our license file should come along. Well, in here, hopefully we have a license. If not, that's something maybe we should look at. But yeah, we should look at that too.
Okay.
But basically, yeah, so the stuff that you're copying, like of these files, if there's some which are just a clone of some other existing file, all the files you're creating, it's like you're creating under DCO and would be under the repo license.
Yeah, okay. So I think any of the files I copied were from that theme.
Right, okay.
And so that theme is MIT licensed.
Right, and I think that basically just says you can use it any way you want, right? And the repo should have an MIT license. We should leave in any copyright. Did they include any copyrights in the files themselves?
I just copied the files. I think when you engage the theme, it generates files for you. Okay. So I will double check on that just to be sure. Okay. And I do attribute the theme at the bottom of each page. It's such a nice theme. I thought it'd be nice to give them credit.
Yeah. No, that's good. And I think I'd have to, yeah, no, that's definitely a good idea.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so that was really where the question is, like, code that we're putting into our repo is what we have to worry about, not
Okay.
necessarily what we're using, because like it's going to run on Linux, which is GPL, right? And so it's not that part. It's just the what are we? I mean, if it was, yeah, at least for this, that's fine. Like if we were shipping something, we might still be concerned if some of the dependencies were something else, but
okay. Yeah,
okay,
there's
so
a lot of stuff.
Right, go ahead.
And it's not code, it's just all pretty much text. The README orients people to, if people want to contribute or make suggestions, the README gives a background about how people could go about doing that.
Okay. I see, yeah, you've got the...
And
right, so the README, okay, so that's probably the one, like, you know, in terms of review, the README is obviously a good one for people to look at in detail. Are there other ones that are good versus just like if you don't know Gatsby, we're not going to be adding too much value looking through them.
Right, exactly. There's a link here on that very first comment that we're looking at, where you can see the published site.
Ah, okay, right.
So there may be comments about the content, but at this point, I'm just trying to get it published.
Right.
And then once it's published, my plan is to go through and do a review to update it. It's a couple of years old. And then at that point, we could open it up for people who, for contributors who have concerns about the content itself.
Sure, yeah, then people can add in the, yeah, definitely. Okay.
So,
so really it's like go through the README is the main
I would
thing.
think, yeah.
Maybe look through the pages, but it's like good. It's mostly the plumbing you're trying to get in now, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
okay. That makes sense.
Exactly. So, so am I free to merge this after a period of time, or do you feel it should have a review before I merge it?
I think, you know, I'll give it an LGTM just having looked at the README, and if other people can just look at that, I think that would be good. If it drags out, let me know. But I'll try and look today, and like I'm happy then. I think usually it's like we want at least one review and then a couple days to go by kind of thing.
Okay, perfect. Okay, then my plan is to create GitHub Actions so that the website, the tutorial site, is republished whenever there's a merge to master.
Right, that sounds good.
And the way it gets published is kind of interesting. I will create a GitHub Pages branch that's an orphan branch. It's not connected to master in any significant way.
Okay.
And then Gatsby has tooling built in that whenever you invoke this Gatsby command, it will generate the site and then push it to the GitHub Pages branch.
Okay.
And then as soon as that happens, after a few minutes, then that site becomes live.
Okay, and do I need to set up anything for that, or is that like do we talked about before, we got it the okay to have the GitHub Pages site and all that. Is there anything that needs to be done?
It's possible. I'm going to attempt to create the GitHub Pages branch. So if I cannot create that branch, I'll send you an email, Michael.
Okay.
And then I'm not clear how GitHub Actions protects against people just merging onto like the GitHub Pages branch. I'm not sure how that's governed.
Okay.
And so my plan is to work out the GitHub action on my fork, and then it may require a secret. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work, Michael. But if I have a roadblock there, then I'll get in touch with you by email.
Sounds perfect.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. So basically, if you could just update the comment to say like, actually, this is the only license that really applies. That would be good. And the PR is here. Where's the PR here? Issues, pull requests. No. Sorry, this is Node. And just for posterity, I'm at the wrong one, sorry. Node add-on examples, no add-on examples. Like if you could just comment in here as well, like which of the files which came from the theme.
Okay.
And that they're under this MIT license, all the rest of the ones are ones that you created, right?
Okay, good.
Just that way, if we need to go back and, you know, I don't know, we need to answer it, we've got the answer, just paste it in there.
Okay, good. I'll do that,
Okay,
Michael.
sounds
Perfect.
good.
Okay. And then I think the last step, once we get it published, then we probably want to update the README for the examples repo to point to the GitHub pages.
Right, to basically add in a like, you know, if you find these examples useful and you want to go through a workshop that leverages them or whatever, like some sort of introduction, yeah, it would be good.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so that's good. Let's move on to the next one. Milestones. Okay, tracking issues for modules you noticed reported to October 2019, 2020.
Sorry, Michael, there is a Kevin on the chat.
Oh. Sorry, what's on the chat?
We have Kevin waiting.
Oh, Kevin. Okay, right. On the, right. Let me go promote on the participants. Got it. Okay, Kevin's promoted.
Hello, guys. Sorry,
Hello.
I saw the security group meeting, and I just thought that this one was just pushed back. But I just randomly decided to join, and here we are.
Oh.
I didn't look at the calendar.
Oh, no.
Was there a conflict?
Oh, no.
According to the calendar that I've always been using to join this link, the security group meeting is also now.
So, you're right, it is, but I guess we haven't been kicked off, so anyway.
But okay, here we are.
Yep, here we are. Okay, so
yeah, just I just ported the one module, and now it's published, and yeah, I used Node.js API for this port.
excellent. Let's just take a quick look. Still seems to be on an upward trend. We passed 1.5 million a day or a week, so that's great. Okay, well, maybe at 2 million now we should do some promotion or something, but
okay.
Okay, no, that's good. So and I see Gabriel commented, or Jim mentioned that SQLite was running on API 5 version 5 is good, so that's great.
We have our first NAPI issue there that I'm going to look at this week.
Okay.
Related to date formatting. So anyway, I noticed it this morning, and I'll take a look at it this week.
Okay. Okay, great. I think that's then into our regular issues. In terms of those issues, so if we flip over to there was one which we were talking about doing a quick release for, which was, where was that one?
The next release or
the issue itself was or it was a PR, right? Yeah, okay. So we got this call back, we got this PR, where was it? Unless it was closed. Right, this one. So yeah, it's this one's where this one came in, which was, I guess, we don't properly support relative paths. So if there's a space in the sort of directory tree, that'll cause problems. So this PR fixed it, and I guess so. We'd had some discussion in the issue, and Nicola, you were planning to do a release this week, right?
Yeah, I just I was waiting for the CI, and I started two job 805 and 806, and are both green. So
Okay.
I followed all the things, and I think that I can push the release after the meeting.
Okay.
If you agree.
Yeah, CI is green. Anybody have any concerns? No? Okay, so no, thanks for doing that. And thanks for doing that quickly. I think that'll be great to get that out. We were already talking about having a release anyway, and that I think was enough reason to do one pretty quick. So that's great. Here, I'll sign this to you since you're. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Any other issues that people want to highlight or think we should talk about?
We could take a quick look at 758.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I think you'd taken a quick look about that.
Yeah. So people are. It is a pattern that people are embedding JS comments in C++ files and then
Okay.
applying tooling to it. So the question is that a pattern that we want to adopt for our examples?
Right. Okay. For the examples, that makes total sense. And the generated doc, what is it? Yeah. What does it look like, for example?
Yeah. So that page there on the right, under mapnik, if you click to the right of it, there's a source link to a .cpp file.
So
It's
where
in
should
the
I click?
upper right-hand corner of the documentation page. Yeah, down below, down. Okay, to the right.
Oh, right, to the right, my other right. Okay.
Yeah, up at
so where here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you click that, here are JS doc
right.
comments in a C++ file.
Okay, and there's already a tool that will extract those and generate that.
Yeah. I've not looked closely at the tool, Michael. I believe the tool is called documentation. I believe the purpose of it is to generate a site that looks specifically like this. So it's not like a general thing, but it is a pattern that people are using.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good idea to do in our examples. And even like, I wonder if it would be useful to have like a make doc target in Node add-on API.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know, we're kind of like choosing one, but if there's one main one, like, is that helpful to kind of say, oh yeah, and here's an easy way? Because like we didn't know.
Right. Yes. Yeah. There is a apparently JS doc, the foundational tool that everything's built on, is not amenable to parsing anything other than JavaScript. So it kind of has heartburn if you give it a C++ file. But apparently there are tweaks that you can make to it. So if this is of interest, I will look at that as another alternative and make comments here.
Okay.
And
I think it's interesting to me. I don't know what other people think, but
yeah, I find it very interesting.
The related one I'll bring up just for interest here. Can I get the poll? What do you mean there aren't any open poll? No. So here, let me go back to. Like, cause I was looking at this PR from Gabriel. And one of the things I think that actually made me think of is that could be cool too is that when you define, it basically lets you have a C++ class that represents your add-on.
Mhm.
And then because you've got methods, you can basically say, okay, and these methods are part of my add-on, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
you need to define that in, if we looked at the example, for example, if I can find, right. So then you have this define add-ons call.
Mhm.
What I thought would really be cool was actually if you didn't have to do that and you could just annotate your methods. So if you actually could do something like this, where you just said like at, and I think using those same JS doc comments.
Yes. Yes.
And then automatically we could basically say, oh, okay, yeah, your class has a bunch of methods. Not all of them are going to be exported, but this is one that you want to have shown externally.
Yes.
And then even you could go so far, and we might be able to go as far as like for the parameters, is if they're documented as well. So we could write today, you have to say like info.argv or info.0. And in this case, like, you have to say as snappy : number. If we actually had documentation that said it's as pram number, we could give something like this, which would, make it more readable, I think, in terms of saying, unless it's, instead of being, position 0, you can actually say, here's the parameter that I'm trying to reference.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think the whole thing, it's great that there's already something which is kind of doing that parsing. And I think that getting the documentation, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
And as I sort of looked at this, it's like, well, it's cool for this reason, but even just for readability, yeah, it makes sense, I think, because you're basically trying to write a JavaScript function. You just happen to be doing it in C++. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, this is exciting. I think once I get the tutorial site landed, then I think this would be an interesting project to pursue, updating our examples using JS docs, and then see if there's tooling that we can apply to it.
Yeah, and even think about like, is there a target that we could use to make it easier and more discoverable or whatever? So it's just like make doc, do this and then make doc. And
yeah.
Okay,
cool.
Okay, great. No, thanks for looking at that, because I think that would be, and I hadn't come across that in any of the Node add-ons we looked at, or hadn't remembered if we had, but I think it's good to encourage that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, any other ones we should dig into here?
I have a small update on the thread-safe function EX class, that PR.
Okay, let's pull that open.
Yeah, I'm pretty much finished with it now. Just fighting with the CI. I just pushed, so now I'm seeing that some are failing and some are not. So I'll go and look at that. But the implementation is done and the documentation is pretty much updated. So if you guys wanna, you can start looking at that, and then as soon as I fix the whatever the failures are, then I'll repush and remove the draft.
Was there any, like, I know you were struggling with something at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
anything to be aware of, or
pardon?
Just like anything to be aware of, or maybe something that we should know. What did you learn that maybe it's good that we all know?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was basically, it's just like the example that I was working on. I was trying to make it have all of the, be like 100% fully featured and fully rounded, but I really couldn't. I was having troubles with the abort because the example was, it was just maybe too complicated or something, and I was just getting really frustrated with it, to be honest.
Okay.
So I just sort of removed the abort possibility, because the way that the example works is that the thread, the function that's running on the node thread can return a promise, and then that promise needs to eventually resolve. But that promise resolution handler is added in the call.js callback. But it's also possible that the thread safe function can be finalized, So it was just a whole mess of complexity due to a lot of trying to put a lot into the example. And I figured that I'm just going to remove the abort because it's making the example even more complex.
Okay. But
So
we do
right
have some
now,
tests that test the abort side.
yes, we do. So it was just from that example, really.
Okay. Okay, so time for people to go take a deep look in and
And then I'll
sounds good.
ping whenever I remove the draft or fix the tests or
Okay.
whatever. That's about it.
Okay. And yeah, we definitely want to land this after we get the release out, so that's good.
Yeah.
Any other ones people here? Let me see. This one I think was pretty straightforward. I talked about this one. All the rest, okay, those are PRs. Issues. This one was kind of interesting. It seems like we, it sounds like we changed, because it was experimental in the 8.x or 8.0 to 8 dot
8.3.
something, 8.3, we
No,
were changing the API.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if we should change the documentation so that it doesn't say, like, because version 1 is as present in all the other versions is not actually in 8.0, I think, right? So it's there, but only as of 8. Like, what is actually version 1 is only there as of 8.7.0. I mean, thinking about it, I guess we won't have this problem with any of the other versions.
Yeah, the first stable version is the version 3.
Okay, so the same applies for version 2 and version.
Yeah. This is
Yeah, and in every document I've done, I have recommended that people, unless they have a specific need for 1 or 2, that they start, that 3 is really the official first version.
Yeah.
But around, I saw people that use version 2, for example. Yeah.
Right. Now, there was no real, was there any real breaking? No, it was just additions. So
yeah,
I guess, well, here, let's look at the matrix. So I guess it's, yeah, if you want us to start it, it's for version 10 is the first one where it had 3. So if you want to completely support v.8, that's the only reason you'd be using 1. But did we, yeah, so obviously we didn't, like version 1, I don't think we kept stable. 2, I think we kept stable though, right? Like we didn't remove things from 2 or change things, did we, in 2?
Let's look at the matrix, Michael.
Sorry, yeah, I'm looking at it. I just didn't share it, sorry.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Thinking, why, you can see it, can't you? No, you can't.
Oh.
Right, so this is, yeah, so this is, like, I can see, like, version 1, we were experimental, we just kept developing 1. But 2, I think we wouldn't have been changing 2 once it was 2, right?
Wait,
3 really is the first one that I'd recommend using, but
I don't think there, all I recall is that conference in Montreal, the Node Interactive, where you made that presentation. And I believe after that conference, there were no breaking changes.
Right.
And so, but how that relates to the version of break, I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm willing to, like, I'm hopeful that, like, once we went from 1 to 2, I don't know, there would be a good chance, like, that we didn't, in version 1, everything was version 1 until we actually went to 2, right?
Yeah, I see.
Right. We didn't
Yeah.
have like the first one, if you're changing things, but 2, I'm hopeful, but 3, but that doesn't really help, because like if you want to support 8, then it doesn't really, you know, that's probably the only reason he's using that, right? Because otherwise version 10 has 3.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking we should actually make this 8.7.
Oh, yeah.
And say
Yeah.
this was the earliest one that supported the final version of 1.
Yeah.
And then the rest, I suspect, are probably okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to make a comment here. I'm going to say okay. I don't know what I mean. There's not much else I think we can do other than that. The reality is those versions do have different signatures and so forth. So.
And Michael, when you update the matrix, you might say, although NAPI version 1 is available starting in 8.0, it's not to be relied on.
Right.
If people happen to find it there, it's not that it changed, like it said in the other issue, that it changed between 8.0 and 8.7.
Right. I will like make it as a star that says, you know,
yeah,
this is the first version which included the final version of 8.7.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it was changing until then. And then, you know, but it's present, just that because it was experimental, it was, you know, under change.
Uh-huh.
In general, our recommendation is to start, you know, to use version 3 as the minimum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and open a PR to do that, because at least we can try and avoid people from looking at that. And it does kind of look like you could use 8.0 with 1. So. Okay. This one, I don't know if there's any comments. I guess 2, right? This one, it seems like we might have a regression in 2.02. But hoping Gabriel has a little bit more insight, since I think there's a fair amount of work that went into the PRs that were backported.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all of them are older than we probably talked about last time. Let's just do a quick flip to Node.js node and look at the NAPI tag. Choose. Okay, so all these look, nothing, doesn't look like there's anything new to dig into. Okay, so anything else that we want to talk about this week?
I'm trying to get clarification as to how the NodeConf virtual experience is going to be working, and I've not heard back from them. They have a contact page on their website, and I put a submission in there last week, and I've not heard back from them.
Okay. I would, like, if you don't get anywhere on that, we can try and reach out to Mateo, I think probably directly, or James.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, that's a good start. And then let us know if maybe next week, if you don't have an answer, we can.
Okay.
Or actually, API. That reminds me, you should go back here because maybe there's some other issues. There's probably an issue for that we. Did we have an issue? Right. So this one, let's just move that up to above. Can I know I could move these at one point. There we go. Oh, and this one we want to, I think, have enable debug testing. I don't think anything's happened on that. And this one even. But I think we already talked about that, so. Just close that once it's gone out. Okay, anything else people would like to talk about? If not, okay, well, thanks for everybody for taking the time, and we'll talk to you in GitHub and next week.
All right, guys, bye.
Yep,
Bye.
thanks. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.